Hello, everybody. This is Asma talking about high intensity work versus low intensity activities. It is important to have two or three hobbies or low intensity activities that we do on a daily basis or a weekly basis, along with the high intensity works that we do, which we can get caught up as we work ahead. We can add more work to ourselves, we can add more hours in the day, and that could add up to 50, 60 hours of work each week. And when a person is working at that level and then they don't get time to do some softer things in between, and they fall ill, say fall ill, it's very hard for them to recover, as well as it's very hard for them to sustain the high intensity work, and the business might suffer, or they might have to close the business because they don't have the energy, the input. Because when people get caught up in doing high intensity works, they have to combine so many people, they have to combine so many processes, the social networking, or it all depends on which business you are doing, but you are actively engaged in so many different aspects of your business when you are a high intensity worker. By high intensity, I mean if you are working anything from 50 hours a week or more, and that would not allow you enough time to do softer things. I'll give you an example here. Once in 1995-96, I went to watch a cricket match in Manchester Stadium with my uncle's family. My uncle lives in Stockport and I was there for a while. So we went to watch this cricket match in Manchester Stadium in hot May day, and I didn't have to arrange for tickets or anything. I just went along with them, and I saw it was fully packed with people half clothed and sunbathing and relaxing and having drinks in their hands and snacks, and most of them were just chatting. They were having a social time with their friends, and I was saying to my uncle, are they even watching the match? There are players working so hard watching the match, doing the match, and these people are not even watching. And then somebody hits a ball, and then everyone cheers. And I had to spend the whole day there. That wasn't my thing. I said to my uncle, can we watch it at home, or could we have watched this game at home? And he said, well, but that's a different thing, that's a different kind of pleasure. People save up to buy tickets, they take time off work to go and attend a cricket match like that, whether it's a cricket match for us or whether it's a baseball match or any other match. People make it an event, a social thing. I was not understanding that at that point. I grew up in India without a television in the house, and so I didn't even see the men in my house sit and watch cricket match for the whole day. I wasn't used to that culture, and so was my cousins. My cousin wasn't used to that culture, and so when I met her in America, and she had the same problem, her husband used to sit and watch cricket match for hours, and she used to get really annoyed. I never got annoyed with my husband, but I just wondered, that wasn't my thing. I wasn't that kind of a wife who would just keep serving snacks and drinks while the family men are watching TV, or just go and join in to give them company. I had 10 other things to do. That's what made me a high intensity worker. That just evolved over the years. I was a sporty person as a child until age 12, 13. I was into sports. I was a volleyball captain in class 8, and then when my study pressure increased, my sports went down, and I tried to have some or the other activity. Once a week, twice a week, I would at least walk halfway to my college or school. And so when I finished pharmacy college, I joined karate class, because that was the only gym that was like a mile away from home, which I could physically attend and fit in with the three other things I was doing. I say that I was working part-time, but then I was doing 2 or 3 different things part-time, so that made me more than full-time worker, even though I say I'm doing this part-time and I'm doing this part-time and I'm doing this course, and my overall working hours would go over 10 hours a day. But in that scenario, I think it's very important to cultivate low intensity hobbies, low intensity sports, or something that you go and do on a regular basis that you enjoy doing. Because when, as I said, when you fall ill after being highly intense in your work for 50 years, there's very little you can fall back on. You've not cultivated it. Okay, so for example, I started using a beauty parlor once a month or once every 2 months, just sometimes to have a haircut or get an eyebrow done or get a facial done, depending on what occasion is there Eid or a wedding. I used to do that. That was my treat, and that was my time away from work. I also used to engage in one or the other sport activity, which is more like a gym activity afterwards. Even 1 hour 2 or 3 times a week, at least once a week. After I had children, I used to combine my gym with their activities. For example, I used to go to the gym which was closer to their madrasa, their prayer place, and drop them, do the gym, and 15 minutes before pickup time, I would finish and come and pick them up. So I had to combine these activities with my daily routine activities and then go to work 4 or 5 days a week. So I'm glad that I didn't let it all go in this big furnace of high activity work. You can burn yourself in that furnace of high activities, uh, high intensity work, and you have one main day job that is taking 45 hours, but it's on paper 45 hours, but you are commuting, you're coming back, you're having a break, and that becomes a 60-hour work. On top of that, you have another business from home, and then you start another business. You have two different things on top of your full-time job, and then you become a high intensity person. And for people like that and people like me, I think we need to take a step back, not from the high intensity work, but at the same time cultivate some medium to low intensity hobbies and activities with friends, with family. So also, when my children were growing up, I exposed them to a number of sports through schools first. So whatever schools were offering after school activities, I'd enroll them to give them a taster, to give them an understanding of how they enjoy that particular sport. And then in the high school, when I found that I could only take them out once a week, we joined a family gym. We took a premium gym membership for David Lloyd gyms. They did everything in one place. They had the swimming pools, the workhouse, the children's activities, eating and drinking, watching movies, racket sports, steam rooms, and saunas, jacuzzi, everything in one place. The first one to drop off was my husband. He would sit and watch the cricket match. When the match was on, nothing else was on. He is a hard worker. He would work 5 days a week. He would commute 120 miles, Ipswich to Cambridge. So he's not a lazy person sitting and watching match. But when the match is on, he has to watch the match, and I couldn't do that. But I did these 1 hour things 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm ever so grateful to my youngest daughter, who took me to the parks maximum amount of time. She took me to all the parks in Ipswich. She took me to the Felixstowe beach. Because of her, I ended up buying a caravan in Felixstowe, and then grew property business, part of my property business in Felixstowe, where the beach is. So because I went with the children just to take them out for an outing, that I have been able to cultivate that and make it a part of my life. Now when my children are not with me, also when I'm in Felixstowe, I'll go and have a walk on the beach. So I thank my children for that. And I complained my husband that you don't even take me out for a walk, because his priority is prayer and meditation, and that takes about 3 to 4 hours a day. And then he has a high demanding job, and then he watches the cricket match or whatever matches he watches. So I'm glad we all have our own individual medium to low intensity activities going on at the same time. And even my children, engage in these activities, like they want to go out with friends on the weekend, I don't say no. As long as they've done all their works Monday to Friday and they've done their homework over the weekend, they are free to go and do some of these activities with their friends. Because at the end of the day, when they turn 60 and they look back and they're ill and they haven't got anything else to fall back on to improve their health, and then hence improve their business that's falling because of their ill health, they can't support the whole infrastructure. So it's important to be able to bounce back. And whenever I felt ill, or whenever I was going through pregnancies and when recovering from the slowness, how my body slowed down, it's these activities that help me bounce back, that I would take to walking first before I join any other gym. Say if I'm between child number 2 or child number 3 and I want to increase my energy levels, I would start walking. And after walking, once I'm able to walk an hour, and then I could do that 3 times a week, then I would go and enroll in a gym and then do that twice a week, and then increase based on how much time, and then increase my work hours. So everything just keeps increasing if you allocate time to it. And I think it's important to give that time to yourself and to make your body do these different physical things at different times. Now, pharmacy college for me was hard work, long hours, lots of study to do, and you can easily fall into this habit of study, and then you're tired and you go to sleep and go to sleep, and next day again do the same thing. And again, when I went to work in a pharmacy, they were 10 hours to 12 hours jobs. Certain days you work 10 hours, anything from 8 to 9 to 10 hours, and then you have to do your shopping, and you come home and you've got whatever else you have at home, and you can get so caught up in these high intensity works which takes so many hours that all the time you have is to sleep. But that's not going to help you when you are ill and you want to recover. Is going to put your energy levels so down. I'm seeing myself in the lockdown, since we stopped the gym, that I'm not as energetic. So if I have to walk into town now, I try and do that once in a month or once in 2 months, and I'm tired at the end of it. I don't want to repeat that for another month. And the town is about 45 minutes one way, so it's going 45 minutes, then whatever, half an hour in town, and then 45 minutes back, and that's my limit now. Whereas I used to be able to do that at least once a week while working full time before the lockdown. So your body can really go downhill if you don't keep the activity levels high. And you don't have to keep the high intensity activity level high, but you can just do something very mundane, like just walking with your colleague or your friend or your family member. Just walk and make sure that you have some other form of outlet. You pray, meditate, join a gym. Well, at the moment you can't join a gym, or you can't go to a beauty parlor, but do something relaxing for yourself on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, so that at the end of the day, on my deathbed, I don't want to say, I wish I had done that more, I wish I had more time to myself, I wish I had done a sport. Because you take time out to do these things in between your high intensity works. Of course, when we are watching a game, people who are actually playing the game, they have worked very hard creating that game for us, for our entertainment. When we are watching a movie, the people who have made the movie have worked really hard creating that movie, but we are just lying back and we are taking a chill from our high intensity work while we relax other people perform. And I now understand that I shouldn't be judgmental about all those people who sit and watch cricket matches. It's necessary. It's their thing. It may not be my thing. I may still not have the patience to sit through a cricket match all day, but I don't disturb my husband. I let him watch his match, and I think my cousin should also let her husband watch the game in pace and go and do her own thing. Whatever it is. If she can't sit and watch the game, go and play a game, go and do something to relax, not leaving sight of your high intensity work, but do 2 or 3 moderate to low intensity activities along with your high intensity work, so that you are able to switch off. And if you're able to switch off every day, that's even better, but try and do it on a weekly basis if you can. Thank you for watching. It's a pleasure. Have a good evening.